6A boys quarterfinal round matchup. We got a good one here in game number 2. The Parkland Trojans come in as the 6th seed. Easton Red Rovers come in as the number 3 seed. Al DiCarlo, Tommy Moser with you earlier today. Freedom winning and punched their ticket into the semifinals. We expect a great matchup between these two teams. They met earlier this year, a 10-point win by Parkland.
It was a strange game. Easton actually led by 15 in the first half. Parkland made a huge run, stretched it out. It was a close game in the fourth quarter. Parkland pulled away, so we're expecting a nail-biter here this afternoon.
Well, let's talk about the Parkland Trojans. Their head coach is Andy Stevens, now in his 12th year. They're 11-5 and 15-9 overall. They're coming off a loss in overtime in the championship, 66-61 over against Allen, one of their go-to players, Jake Milady.
So Milady's made an incredible 63s on the year out. That's ridiculous. That's almost over 3 per game. So he's obviously going to be the guy to focus on for Coach Childs and Easton.
Let's talk about Coach Childs under the weather today. Hopefully he's a go the whole way through. We'll talk about that throughout. It is 7th year. His team at 16-7. Their last game was in the playoffs against Central Catholic. They get back, they rebound, they know what's that factor today. Ryan Boylan, their go-to guy.
Well, very balanced attack for Easton, but Boylan's definitely a 4-year varsity guy. He's been through the wars before in regular season and playoff. He's going to create shots for his teammates, and he's going to look to score when the time comes for it.
Well, expect a good one. Parkland, Easton, your D11sports.com game of the week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine, coming your way next.
Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive.
We are back here at Allen High School. Glad you could join us as we get ready for this matchup between and Easton and Parkland. As we get ready for the opening tip. And we are underway. Easton wearing the white, Parkland wearing the red. As Parkland gets going here first, and they go inside, and a quick whistle. And again, this should be interesting as we make their way through, especially the first opening minutes to see how they set the tone and what happens here between the two teams.
Well, going right inside on the first possession was Parkland and drawing the foul. Going to have to watch our colors here, both teams red and white. That might be a little confusing to Carlo.
Yeah, it is confusing. I'm not sure who's playing right now. And the quick 2 for Dylan Rhodes. One for Rhodes, and we are underway. On the first stoppage, we'll try to get our student reporters.
So here's the man-to-man defense by Coach Stevens and Parkland.
Driving through, that one knocked away.
Good drive right there by Nashawn Johnson, but rejected inside by the athletic Dylan Rhodes. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Rappa on the rejection.
And quick action, end to end. And I thought he stepped on the baseline. They don't call it. Ball loose and bodies everywhere.
Well, the first thing to notice here in game 2 of our doubleheader, Al, is the fact that a lot more size on the floor in this game for both teams than in the first game, where most players on the floor for both teams were guards. We have a lot more players in this game we would qualify as forwards and or centers, and the size difference is evident within the first minute of play.
So a minute in. And with the basketball is Kaharchik. over to Roll.
So Easton also playing man-to-man.
Inside out they go. There's a three. That one flies, doesn't go, and I think it hit up top.
So both coaches starting out in a half-court standard man-to-man.
Driving on through on the baseline and giving that one up on the turnaround. That one doesn't go. Ball loose, picked up here. And as we're going end to end, just that one free throw to start things up.
Yeah, buckets are tough to come by. As I mentioned, there's some size inside deterring these players at the rim, but
the Harchick with the basket. Shot from the outside, counted on the three by Clark.
Clark, the lefty, they always look smoother coming out of the hands of a lefty, and he's, for only a sophomore, already garnering Division I interest and the outside part of his game continuing to expand.
From up top, there's a three. Jake Milady with his 61st three-pointer of the season.
Great hustle right there by Trey Roll. Easton trying to push it up in transition. He's read by Roll and gets a steal. You could see on the prior possession, Milady did knock the three down, but every time he catches it, they are all over him, switching, trying to prevent him from getting any open looks.
Some way, somehow, oh, they're going to call a walk. That would have been the interesting three-point play.
Well, that would have been a horse shot right there, but, I mean, Rhodes might have released it before, but Rod Strobel said no dice, and we got to travel.
Driving through. Nothing there. Cut off. And that is a three that does not fall for Aaron Clark. And we're approaching the midway point of the quarter. 6-3. Again, Parkland the visitors. On the scoreboard as they come in as the number 6 seed. That's a tough number 6 seed, isn't it, Tommy?
That's a deep and balanced field. We talked about that game one. I don't think in past years they would be a 6 seed. Strobel calls the old push-off right there, but certainly a very good 6 seed.
Yeah, they get that one on Trey Roll. And Andy Stevens not happy.
Yeah, he just kind of rolled his eyes saying, is that how we're going to call it today?
He's talking to Strobel on the sideline, making sure he's in his ear just a little bit. Still talking. That ball may have gotten deflected by off Ryan Boylan.
Every Easton shot is being altered, blocked, contested. Very nice job so far by the defense of Parkland.
So midway through quarter number one, Allen and Parkland, winner moving on. And here's a three, that one up and down. Knocking home to Trey is Milady. And he is with 6 points. And with that, we go to our sidelines reporters, and Peter Capote and Elijah Rivera.
Hi, this is Peter Capote alongside Elijah Rivera. We both talked to the coaches before the game. What did Andy Stevens tell you, Elijah?
They just said they know they have Ryan Boylan, they have Aaron Clark, and they can stop them. On the maturity level, these guys are good, he said, and they can beat them, is what he said. He said defensively, they're going to have to stop their guards, and offensively, as you've seen in the first quarter, Jake is on fire, so that was their game plan.
On the Easton side, it's just play efficient ball and play strong defensive ball, rebounding. Back to you, Al.
All right, guys, thanks a lot. Elijah Rivera from Notre Dame Green Pond and Peter Capote from Allen High School. As they've been with us all afternoon long, part of our D11 Sports reporters, up to 40.
they've been hustling out. You put them to work in between games, during breaks. They get no breaks, and they've been working really hard today, getting great information from our coaches, doing a wonderful job on the floor. We saw a look at that replay right there before we resumed action, and Milady, man, that three was smooth coming off that screen. That barely moved the rim. Barely moved the net. That looked like a college-level catch and shoot and rip through the net right there.
Yeah, you mentioned our guys. They're really doing a great job, and they're all over it. I said during the first game, they saw Andy Stevens in the crowd. They went and talked to him before the game and talked to the coaches afterwards. So doing a great job and learning each and every game, and that's what it's all about. 3:04 on the clock, 9-3. Parkland on top. And driving through and scoring is Rhodes.
Nice drive by Rhodes right there. Poor help defense by the Red Rovers. Of more concern, I believe, for Easton right now is they're not clicking offensively, not getting a lot of fluid motion, not getting open looks, everything contested, bottled up by the Parkland man-to-man.
Well, an 8-0 run right now by the Trojans, going baseline and trying to get those two back. Was Assad Brown, could not. Instead, it's Trey Roller comes out of the pile. And the extra step.
Rolled, thought he had a passing lane, did not. You get a look at the last set. Rhodes, catch on the wing. Good screen by Milady. A rip through and drive. Rhodes way up high. And he finishes.
(11-3) Trojans here in the early going. Tom mentioned it before. They were down by, I believe, 15, 16 points in the first half to Easton, and then ended up winning by 10. We asked Coach Stevens what happened there. He goes, I don't know.
His response was funny as Strobel, I think that Stevens being in his ear a few minutes ago paid off right there because he got Boylan with a little clear out too. Cheap one on one end equals a cheap one on the other end. But his response was classic when you asked him that. He said, I wish I knew. I mean, if he knew, he'd be sitting in a little bit more confident position right now. But, I think talking to the Easton staff, Coach Stevens started that game out in a zone. Easton knocked some shots down. Andy went man-to-man, and that kind of changed the tempo, and that's why you're seeing them start man-to-man here today, and it's certainly carried over.
Try to feed the outside. Here's Roll. Roll from 15. That one doesn't go. And the rebound goes to Aaron Clark. Outlet pass to Boylan. Boylan still looking for his first points of the afternoon. Again, they tied the game up at 3-3, but it's an 8-0 run. That one knocked away. Great job by Nick Rappa. They get it right back, and finally Boylan on the scoreboard.
Scorer's mentality right there. Finds a way to get the ball in the basket, but again, as has been the case all quarter long, every shot is being contested at the rim by Parkland, and that's why the Rovers are stuck on 5 right now.
So that stops the 8-0 Parkland run. We're down to the final minute of the opening quarter. Now the 45 on the clock. Rapper can't get that one to fall. A little acceleration will get Aaron Clark to the free throw line.
Well, you heard, not saw, but heard on the rebound defensively by the Rovers, Coach Childs imploring his men to push the ball up the floor in transition, probably recognizing that they're struggling to score in the half court, and so we're going to try to get some easy baskets running the floor. And he did earn Mr. Clark a trip to the free throw line for 2.
Makes the first, and the second is good as well. 5 points for Clark, who averages 13 points a game.
Coach Stevens and probably get his guys holding for 1 here.
(11-7). Easton scored the last 4. Now down to 6 on the clock. That one off the glass. They have a chance here to convert. 1 second left, and how about the defense there by Trey Roll? So one complete from Allen High School. District 11 6A boys quarterfinals, and Parkland leading 11-7. Back with more action. You're watching our D11sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine.
Hall of Fame pitcher Steve Carlton knows what it takes to exceed expectations. He knows what it means to be part of a team that rises above the competition. He knows a champion. Steve Carlton knows St. Luke's Orthopedic Care.
We are back here at Allen High School. Alden Carlo, Tom Moser. Nice crowd on hand here for the afternoon affair. Earlier today, Freedom winning 59-43 over East Stroudsburg South. They're into the semifinals. They'll take on either Allen or Pocono Mountain West, who will go into action at Easton High School at 7:30. The winner of this game gets either Northampton or Liberty. Liberty plays that game at 6 p.m. at Easton. And your thoughts on the first quarter?
So as I said a few times, Easton's having some problems with the length of Parkland inside, struggling to get easy looks around the rim. Clark's made a few plays. Boylan did force his way inside once and get it to fall. There's another block that's at least 3 or 4 blocks in addition to multiple shots being altered, and it's different players doing it for Parkland. They have at least 3 different players with a block. On the other end of the floor, Parkland has obviously 2 threes from Milady. Otherwise, they need to just continue running their motion stuff to get good looks.
There's a 3 by Clark. That's his second 3 in 50 and his 37th of the year.
Well, the sophomore is certainly not afraid of the moment right here, and he's keeping the Red Rovers in this one in the early stages.
All of a sudden, you go from an 8-0 run for Parkland to a 7-0 run for Easton. And an offensive foul.
The big man, Jaylon Perkins, I think, is just guilty right there of being a little too big. May have given a little extra oomph behind it, but it wasn't egregious, and he got whacked as we have Rod Strobel Jr., Tom Bonner, and Jared DiGirolamo as our 3-man crew.
We'll get a look here at a 3 for the lead. No good. And the rebound goes to Roll. On the baseline.
Let's see if they award Rhodes 2 shots here. It was close. Man, they're going to give him 2. Not a lot of movement and motion offensively for Parkland. I think that's going to be something that Coach Stevens is going to worry about. If you take those 2 threes from Milady away, they're not exactly lighting it up right now.
Rhodes on the free throw line only at 59%.
He doesn't look very confident. He's taken 3 free throws now, and he's at a couple different releases and angles. Does get that one to go. And Rappa checks back in.
I want to thank both coaches for getting us their information and some stats. I also want to thank the Whirls for helping us out as well. Pat and Bob Whirl always do a great job as the EPC statisticians.
The Whirls do a fantastic job, and they've been doing it forever. They enjoy doing it, seeing games. Do a great job of keeping everybody informed.
Easton gets it right back, and Andy Stevens wondering, and we're right on the line where that ball was, and Andy Stevens says, I'm out of bounds by like 3 feet. This is where the ball was taken. Why was that not called?
He was almost in the line of fire right there, and I don't think he saw it before it hit the ground. That was a ragtag sequence, but fortunately No contact on Mr. Stevens. So now Easton has cranked up their pressure, and Parkland having difficulty getting anything going.
Parkland still leading by 2, but it's a 7-1 run right now for the Red Rovers. Down to 5:30 and counting.
See, now in the first game we had player for East Stroudsburg as a lefty not being shaded that way. Right now, Coach Stevens, you can tell he's going over scouting report with his team because they are forcing Mr. Clark, the freshman, to his right. He's struggling a little bit. He did knock down a 3 or 2, but getting to the basket, he wants to go left, and they're not letting him go left. So it's very effective defense by Parkland.
Easton looking to inbound. And they'll get it in. They'll set their offense here as we approach the 5-minute mark of quarter number 2, and it remains 12-10. This for the lead doesn't go. So a couple occasions Easton has had the opportunity to take the lead and can't convert offensively. Another opportunity there. That one doesn't go. Second effort. That one won't fall. So chances are flying. Derek Jacobs couldn't make it as well. It remains 12-10.
Yeah, so Aaron Clark now, you're seeing him settle a little bit for a 3 on that possession because he made a couple. We call that fool's gold, and you don't want to be settling just because you made a couple. Stick with your game and attack the basket. But great job right there by Assad Brown. Pick and clean Trey Roll. That's going to be 2 fouls on Roll. He's going to take a seat.
So 4:46 on the clock, 12-10. Parkland led by a score of 11-3. It's scored 1 point here in this quarter. And the pass in the middle of the paint, that one don't go. How about 4 efforts in the last 2 possessions, maybe 5 for Easton, can't convert. We'll see what Parkland does on the other end. From the baseline, a 3, and it counts. And guess who? Jake Milady with his 3rd 3.
I'll give you 2 guesses, Al, and the first one doesn't count because Coach Childs, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that one. It was off a scramble, loose ball situation. You weren't matched up on your guys, but what's the old saying? You miss a layup at one end, you're going to get burned at the other. And as you said, the Rovers have had multiple chances inside the last few trips down the floor, and they've got nothing to show for it.
Well, there's something to show for it right there, as flying right through the defense was Aaron Clark.
And that time he did get to his left hand. You can see how talented that young man is, only a sophomore again, and he just took 1 dribble to his left and accelerated right to the rim.
Down to 3:37 on the clock. And Coach Stevens said they're playing really well. Again, they lost an overtime game. There's got to be contact there somewhere. And, we have a break here. And, let's talk about Ben Childs a little bit. Ben Childs, I guess I went over to shake his hand and didn't lean at me. I'm like, what is he doing? What are you talking about? How could you not shake my hand? I know he didn't shake yours, but it was different. But under the weather, woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning not feeling well, and he's hoping just to make it through this game.
Well, I got some intel that he didn't really want to talk to you, and that's why he kind of elbowed you instead of shook your hand. But, yeah, not the day that you want to wake up feeling ill, the biggest game of the year for your team. But he's going to push through, and he's got a capable staff of assistants right there with him to help him out in case he feels it. But as one of, Pat Gorski, assistant, told me, the adrenaline's going to kick in, and Coach Childs is going strong right now.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Gorski, and we also talked to, I talked to, to Eric Jacobs as well. And I said to Coach Childs, he goes, I'm making it through the game. Don't worry about it. I'm making it through the game.
Yeah, sometimes when you're not feeling well, you need to call on the reserve tanks, and you'll get through it. You might suffer tonight, but
well, I'm not feeling well right now. I want to call in Dave, but I just can't do that to everybody.
Clark just slipped and lost his balance right there. A turnover on Easton. Coach Childs calling for movement. You can hear his voice. Can't be that hoarse. He wants some movement out of his players, but just very fundamental, disciplined defense by the Trojans.
Tommy, your thoughts, the way this game is going right now, who's it favoring at this point? And I'm going to say it's a lackadaisical kind of game, but you know what? You had a little streak there, but neither team really has gotten any kind of flow.
No flow, no rhythm. We would call this a rock fight right now, Al. Both teams just beating each other, bludgeoning each other up. I would say at this point, obviously they have a 5-point lead, but I like Parkland's position a little bit better. Neither team's shown much offensively. Easton just really struggling to get good looks offensively, and unless they shape that up, it's going to be tough for them to score enough points to win the game.
On the kick out, driving baseline, nowhere to go, and the turnover, that goes in the hands of Chris Huey.
And there you see it again, just simple, good, fundamental positioning defensively by the Trojans. The help is there, the second help slide is there, and Parkland Easton turns it over, just trying to make a play that's not there.
I said Huey, I mean Carge, excuse me.
Well, we knew the colors would confuse you, red and
It
white.
didn't take much.
Coach Child's going to, there it is, he needs a timeout. Rappa inside.
So Rappa gets the shot and scores. All right, take us into, Coach, and what he's telling his players here, 19-12.
Well, one thing he's probably going to do is draw up a set here. Their motion offense is they're not getting enough out of it. He might call what we like to call a quick hitter, a special set they have as we look at Rappa doing his work. Nice post move, forces the shot, but goes right back up and gets in and finishes on the left side. But Coach Childs might call a special one-hitter, quick hitter play that he has designed to get somebody a look, whether it's Boylan, maybe it's Clark. Boylan's been a little quiet here, so maybe he looks to get Boylan going. On the other side, Coach Stevens is going to tell his guys, look, our defensive effort so far has been phenomenal. You keep that up for the last 2 minutes and a half.
Glad you could join us here at D11Sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. We are the 6A quarterfinals. 3-point leaders at the end of the EPC regular season. Caleb Mims had 38. Jake Milady had 37. Nate Ellis had 36. And Spencer Cole had 35. Saw Spencer Cole hit 10 of those against Central Catholic, which was pretty impressive.
So that's in league games only, where what do you play? You play 16 league games because Milady's at 60 overall for the year, and Mims is at 53. So they're 1-2 in league play and 1-2 overall. And you can see why, because Milady's knocked 3 down already.
Speaking of threes, there's a 3, and that one won't go, but Boylan comes out of the pile. Boylan's been quiet. He's averaging 16 a game. Not quiet, still continuing, is Aaron Clark. Clark averages 13, and he's on his average now.
Well, he bailed the Rovers out right there. I don't think that was the possession that Coach Childs wanted out of the timeout, but it was he hustled after it and got the offensive rebound to keep the possession going, and then he was rewarded for his efforts with a made 3. So they're going to need, he's got 3 threes, 9 of their 15 points are on his threes. So once Coach Stevens makes that adjustment at halftime, the Rovers are going to have to look elsewhere for some points.
Yeah, he's got 8 points in this quarter already, 13 for the game. So 13 of the 15 points, and Boylan has the other 2. To the corner. That 3 doesn't go. Rebound underneath, and Rappa will go to the free throw line.
Rappa's doing his damage, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds, playing physical inside, altering shots, and here he's going to get a chance to earn 2 at the free throw line.
So Rappa misses on the free throw. He's at 70% coming in, 73 of 104. Second one is good. Last year, Parkland losing to Allen in the district championship by a score of 76-50. It was East Stroudsburg the year before. Maybe, Parkland when they won a couple in a row. As that one slapped away, great job by Rappa. Parkland winning 13, 14, 15, and 16.
So right there, incredible drive and dish by Boylan sets up his teammate, Nashawn Johnson, very athletic 6'3" senior, but just too much size, and Rappa in the right position and goes up and catches it at its highest point and blocks the shot. So very frustrating right there if you're Easton, because you executed, you got a shot you wanted, you just were met by a little bit better size, and as a result, the Trojans are going to get the last shot of the half, already with a 5-point lead.
Down to 10 seconds on the clock. Driving through and scoring is Kaharchik. A big basket here. Easton will try to counter. Here's a three. It flies and misses. 2 games at the half. We've had some big shots. But after the basket by Kaharchik, it's Parkland that has their biggest lead of the game now, 22-15. Back with more action. You're watching our D11sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Back after this.
St. Luke's Orthopedic Care. Extraordinary care in motion.
Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive. Concussions are serious. 3 million sport, recreation, and auto accident-related concussions happen each year. 20% of high school athletes who play contact sports will suffer a concussion during the season. St. Luke's is the region's leader in assessing, managing, and treating concussions in athletes and non-athletes of all ages. Our multi-specialty teams of experts collaborate to care for you using the latest treatment options. Don't play head games, take concussions seriously. Call St. Luke's to schedule an appointment with one of our concussion experts.
We are back. 22-15 is your score. Al DiCarlo alongside Tom Moser. I want to thank St. Luke's for everything they have done with our student reporter program and helping us out, and big sponsor of ours, and obviously we continue to get the students involved as we're doing now. Peter's talking to the coaches at the half, and so is Elijah, and we'll have their report a little bit later on. And as far as this game is concerned, really a tale of 2 quarters, I would say. An 8-0 run for Parkland, they went up 11-3, and then a 7-1 run for Easton. They got themselves back in the mix, but excuse me, a 3-ball flying early for Parkland.
Yeah, Milady, obviously, as everybody knows in the gym here, anybody who's watched Parkland all year knows that Milady's their threat from outside. You're not going to deny him all game long. You saw a nice look inside right there. On the flip side, Easton had one spurt, mainly by this young man right here, Aaron Clark, who's buried 3 threes and has been most of their offense. Here you're going to get a look at the drive at the end of the half, which we're going to fast forward ahead instead to Kaharchik on the drive. The last basket at a half that built that 7-point lead. But the possession we did not see was when Boylan drove inside and dished to Johnson, but was rejected by Rappa. And that's really been the story of the half. We don't have the numbers, but I would say 4, 5, 6 blocks and multiple shots altered inside by the size of Parkland. And that's just got to be frustrating Coach Childs and the Red Rovers.
Dave Micah has some numbers for us. Shooting Parkland 50% from the field right now, 7 of 14. But again, you started off pretty strong and then, kind of died out there and then came back there at the end. 3-pointers, 3 of 6. And those 3 3-pointers all coming from Jake Milady, now has 63 on the season. And from the free throw line, they've been there 8 times already. 5 of 8 from the free throw line. 5 of 8 from the free throw line. And for Easton, 5 of 20 shooting right now. So it's going to get better. You would imagine it's going to get better than that. 3 of 8 from behind the arc and 2 of 2 from the free throw line. So if you look at those numbers, they haven't been at the free throw line that much. They have struggled from the field, and they find themselves down by 7. The numbers, show the difference.
Well, here's what's happening is if you're taking it inside and getting your shot blocked or altered, eventually you're going to start taking it outside, and they've launched a few too many threes, I would think, for Coach Child's liking. Of course, they knocked 3 of them in, as we talked about from Mr. Clark, but they taken probably a few too many. But again, it's a result of not being able to get anything at the rim. So you need to give credit to Parkland at this point. They've been able to impose their will defensively. Again, it's a carryover from what happened in the regular season game where the game totally flipped after Easton got out to a 15-point lead. Coach Stevens went man-to-man. They shut him down the rest of the game, and ever since, Easton struggled to score.
So 22-15 individual scoring here. Boylan with the 2, and then 13 for Clark. We talked about this before. When you only have 2 people scoring, that's got to be a cause of concern, even though 13 is there for Clark.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that an individual has 13, but nobody else has been able to contribute. Johnson and Brown have had a couple looks, but they've been altered. They've been bothered inside. They've been contested. They've been guarded very tightly by the disciplined, aggressive man-to-man and the size, to be frank, of the Parkland Trojans. And so somebody else is either going to have to make an outside shot or what they're going to have to do, which I know Coach Child is probably stressing to his guys right now, is get something going in transition. Try to attack the rim before Parkland can set their half-court defense up.
Now for Parkland, 6 points for Kaharchik, 3 points for Rappa, 4 points for Rhodes, and Milady with the 3 threes, and he has himself 9 points as we go there. As far as the brackets are concerned, and where we're at, we saw earlier Freedom victory. Freedom won by a score of 59-43. Allen playing later tonight, as is Liberty and Northampton. Those games being played at Easton Middle School, and then right now Parkland. So Parkland and Easton will have the winner of Liberty and Northampton later tonight. Freedom already knows they're in. Joe Stelato's team punched their ticket to the semifinals, and they will await either Allen or Pocono Mountain West in the nightcap. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more action as you're watching our D11Sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. We're at the half, 22-15 in favor of Parkland. Back after this. .15 at the break. Al DiCarlo, Tom Moser, Dave Micah with you from Allen High School. You're watching the quarterfinals, back in action on Tuesday for the semis, and then Wednesday, and then the championships the following week. Hope you're enjoying all our coverage here on D11Sports.com as we bring the action to you. No matter if you're 5 minutes down the road, or you're in California, or you're in Florida, the opportunity that if you can't be here, our live stream program, not only giving you our student reporters on the fly and teaching them a great lesson, and them learning each and every day if they want to do this in the future, or just work on their communication skills, but at the same time giving the fan that wants to follow Easton, wants to follow Parkland, wants to follow Freedom or East Stroudsburg South, or any of the schools that we've been covering, throughout the playoffs, then it gives you an opportunity to prepare and to be able to watch it on your computer, on your laptop, on your wherever it is. It's a great opportunity for everyone to watch.
I have viewers in 4 states right now out watching: Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland. We have the Mid-Atlantic region covered now. We just have to expand to the West Coast.
Well, that's pretty impressive. And with that, speaking of expanding to the West Coast, we stay here in the East Coast, and our 2 reporters, Peter and Elijah, are ready to go with their sideline report.
Here at the half, Parkland leads 22-15. What did Coach Stevens tell you at the half, Elijah?
He was pretty happy with their overall performance. He just said that around the arc they're going to have to make a lot of shots if they're going to keep shooting. But other than that, he's happy with their overall performance.
On the Easton side, they think they have to guard. They have to make their shots better, not get their shots. They have to get their shots into the rim. Also play to the tempo right now, and as they don't think that this is the tempo of the game that they wanted. Back to you, Al.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Job well done. And what Peter just said is exactly what we've been talking about. They got to get in the flow. They got to get a tempo. They got to play their kind of game, to get back in the mix here. I mean, and you're down by 7. First couple minutes here, it's interesting.
Well, one of the things, if you're being honest with yourself, if you're Coach Childs and his staff and the players, you didn't play very well in that first half. So to only be down 7, you have to feel like you have a great chance to win this basketball game. Sometimes you need to give the opponent credit, and that's what I would do if I were Easton right now. Look, they played a good half. Now it's time for us to play a good half, and let's see what happens.
And Parkland winning 59-49 the first time around. This one coming in our direction. I thought, don't you have that reach?
So go Gadget. Remember Inspector Gadget? I was going to reach out and grab it, but
see, you're younger than me. You're saying go Gadget. I'm saying Stretch Armstrong.
Stretch Armstrong,
there's
right?
A big difference. Underway here in quarter number 3. And they'll get loose here on the corner for a 3. Doesn't go. And Boylan the other way. That one gets knocked away. Good job there by Rappa.
Just so these Parkland bigs, mainly Rappa, but also Rhodes inside, they're just so well schooled. They don't try and go for blocks. They just put themselves in position and alter shots. And it makes such an impact against, as actually Johnson did it right there for Easton too, just altering and bothering the shot that your opponent wants to take.
Nice dish underneath, maybe a shuffle of the foot. And they say no. Nashawn Johnson's on the scoreboard.
Finally, that young man has worked his tail off inside and had trouble finishing. He got bailed out right there. He really should have went up on the left side. Probably was not confident enough to do it. As you pointed out, may have gotten away with dragging his foot and finished on the right side for a much-needed deuce for the Red Rovers.
That doesn't drop for the Trojans. In roll. And the Trojans will get the ball back after the miscue by Clark a minute in.
One other thing you're seeing is one and done for the Red Rovers. Great job on the glass by Parkland. And another reason why they're still under 20 points nearing the midway point of the third quarter.
Malay looking for his 4-3, doesn't get it. And then I think they got the push off from Rappa.
And that's a tough one to swallow if you're Nick Rapp or Coach Stevens, because he just working for position, maybe a play on and don't need to call anything there, as the Red Rovers were going to grab possession anyway. But
22-17 here with 5:37 left here in the third quarter. First game went to Freedom by the score of 59-43. They led by 15. East Stroudsburg South went on a huge run, 10-0 run to end the quarter. And they cut the lead eventually to 5. But Freedom prevailed. Here's Boylan off the dribble. Can't get the roll. Parkland has some numbers coming the other way. And they'll give that up. Driving through and scoring is Rhodes. He's got 6.
Good job in transition right there by Parkland. For Easton, just too much individual play, and that's, again, credit to Parkland's defense, but just not enough being created by their motion offense. Very few tic-tac-toe passes. As we get a look at the replay here. Roll in transition to Rhodes, one dribble, step through, and nice finish inside. But the baskets Easton are getting are off of individual plays and not so much a product of team offense. And there's another one on a drive by Clark.
Yeah, Clark's now has 15. Getting loose, and that one gets knocked from behind by Boylan. Great job. Easton, the chance in transition going the other way. And they'll battle hard, trying to draw some contact, and rolling in is Nashawn Johnson. 24-21.
It's amazing that you look up and it's a one-possession game right now after how Easton seemed lifeless in the first half.
All of a sudden, Parkland can't find the bottom of the basket. And Johnson was going in. They said, I'll come out again.
Here's Johnson on the prior set. Head fake, shot fake. Good, strong finish over the outstretched arms of Rappa, who's given him fits all day long.
Lost the handle there momentarily, gets it back. How about Roll?
Well, no help right there in the paint for Easton. Roll, really good step through right there and finish. Here goes Brown at the other end.
Boylan battles for it, goes off of Boylan, and Parkland gets the ball back up by 5 with 3:24 on the clock.
Here you get a look at the step through by Roll and the finish.
Baharchik here for the Trojans. It's amazing as you watch this game. Here's Roll, goes behind the back. On the reverse, that one won't go for Rappa. Get to my thought in a second. Flying through the lane, that one doesn't go. Rebound, and finally to the free throw line. I say, it's amazing that you're this far into the game, and it's just no one's taken over or no one's been in a flow. You know, back-to-back baskets, a couple. We're seeing both teams, struggle on both ends.
Well, this quarter, much more up and down, much more frenetic pace, but just the defense by both squads has been very good. It's limited open shots. The coaches, both staffs, scouted well. They know what the strengths of the opponents are, what they're trying to do, and that's what's going to lend itself to a lower scoring game. It's playoff basketball, so every possession matters, and maybe the players are a little tight, but it's just good old-fashioned coaching and defense, and that's what wins these games.
So it remains 26-21.
Because you see now that the Red Rovers have cranked up their defensive pressure, made it difficult for Parkland to get open looks in the second half, and that's why they're struggling on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it's interesting watching this, though. It's a 5-point game, and it can go really any way. And you like that if you're Easton, and that's exactly because Clark right now is the spark plug. He's got 17.
Well, I said a few minutes ago that much of Easton's baskets were coming on individual plays, and you don't like to rely on those, but the fact of the matter is Clark's a pretty special young player, young man, and if he's going to be able to make those shots, it's going to keep you in the game if you're Coach Childs.
We approach the 2-minute mark of quarter number 3. That shot won't drop. Here comes Easton on the attack, trying to cut into this lead, stopping, popping. That one rims out, does not fall for Huey.
Coach Stevens is like a prize fighter here late in a round, and I knew he was thinking about a timeout. I was just going to say he needs to get to the end of this quarter to settle his guys down. They're taking some shots that are out of rhythm. Their offense does not look great in this quarter, and he didn't wait for the end of the quarter. He whacked a timeout right there.
Yeah, so he takes the timeout here, 26-23 again. First meeting, 59-49. And again, unless they generate some offense here, this is a very low-scoring affair, especially with two teams that can really put up the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like I said a few minutes ago when we talked about it, that's what it's playoff basketball. So these teams the coaches are scouted. They've had this matchup set all week. They know the players. They know the personnel. They know the sets they're going to run. They're going to just try to take away the strengths of the opposing team. So when we ask Coach Stevens who he's worried about, and he tells us he's worried about Clark and Boylan, he's going to put his best defenders on Clark and Boylan. When we talk to Coach Childs and the Easton staff, he knows that they have to worry about Milady. Milady's been very quiet here in the second half, and that's a credit to the adjustments that Coach Childs and his men have made in the second half here.
It's amazing when you think about it that one team is going home and the other team's going to play 3 more games at least.
It's crazy, and we said that in the first game, but yeah, it's incredible. Both of these teams are senior-laden, 4 senior starters for Parkland, 3 senior starters for the Easton Red Rovers, and one of these two teams will not have practice tomorrow, and they will be done for the season. And for a lot of those senior starters, that's it for their career.
Driving through and lost the handle.
And right now, the momentum has shifted to the white jerseys.
Yeah, 26-23 with a $1:20 on the clock. A chance to tie with a 3. And it was 22-15 at the half in favor of the Trojans. Down to a minute on the clock. Spinning through, a little fade. That one won't go. I'm going to say no one there to box out.
Yeah, rare second chance coming right here for Easton. That's going to bring Rhodes back in to provide some help for Rappa on the glass.
Looking to inbound, they do. The left shot does not fall, and they will try to regroup. Great job, Easton, and they'll get an open Boylan. Boylan decides to take it inside into traffic. That ball loose. Winning the rebounding war right now are the Red Rovers. The 3 for the tie, that doesn't go. How about a second effort and a third here for the Red Rovers? Boylan thought about it. Now with 28 seconds, they'll hold for the next shot.
And they want it more in this third quarter. They did not put their heads down at the half with a 7-point deficit. Felt fortunate to be in the position they were in, and you saw a renewed effort in this third quarter, and that's why they're going to go into the fourth down by less than 1 possession.
Down to 7 on the clock. Here's Boylan. Drives through and scores. Ryan Boylan with the basket. And that will run out the clock. Easton fired up, down by 1, 26-25. Parkland after 3. Back after this with our D11Sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine.
Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive.
Well, back here at Allen High School, and things have changed a little bit. You just kind of had to see who's going to, have that momentum going through. But, Tommy, 11-4 third quarter. You scored only 4 points in that quarter. We talked about Easton not scoring that many points, but all of a sudden Parkland struggling big time. We hit to the fourth. Your thoughts through 3?
Well, one thing I will point out right away is Coach Stevens not happy in that quarter break. And early on in that timeout, he slammed the clipboard down on the ground as Boylan gives the Road Rovers the lead. But he slammed the clipboard on the ground because it wasn't about X's and O's for him. It was about heart and desire. And you saw that last minute. Easton just played volleyball up on the glass and ended up getting another possession or 2 and ended up getting a basket. So he's just telling his guys, look, do you guys want it or do you not want it? And I think that's we'll see what kind of message, if it was received or not.
Okay, a lot on the line. There's no doubt about that. Now Easton with a 1-point lead, 27-26. And they'll get an offensive foul here on the Trojans. There's a little verbiage afterwards.
So what's happening right here is Assad Brown and some of the other defenders for Easton really cranking up the half-court pressure. I think from Coach Stevens' vantage point, a little too much with the hand checking. He's asking and begging and pleading for some hand checks, and right there he got the opposite, an offensive foul, and we'll see how it gets called down the stretch.
Parkland has numbers coming the other way, and the pass play, and very unselfish, and one! Count the basket by Dylan Rhodes, who gave it to Milady. Milady gave it right back.
You called it unselfish. Milady a little overshot on the first pass by Rhodes, but probably could have corralled it and scored, but gave it back to Rhodes unselfishly. As you get a look at the replay here, Milady back to Rhodes, and one.
So Parkland regains the lead, 29-27. Now you're Easton right now. And the block, anyone's game, it don't matter. And it's you talked about it before, desire, heart. Deshaun Johnson.
Easton way more hustle plays here in the second half than in the first half. Wow, roll just accelerating to the hole right there. No help defense by Easton.
So it's tied momentarily. And here's the dangerous guy. If Boylan gets hot, which he's not, he could be the difference maker. Parkland the other way.
Kaharchik's done a great job neutralizing Boylan today.
Well, Dylan Rhodes thought he got smacked. We thought we heard it from here, but was it the ball, the leather that we heard, or not? As Boylan gets loose.
That was a great look right there by Chris Huey. He saw his man cutting to the basket and not a help defender in sight, and threaded a beautiful pass for the layup, and we are tied up.
All right, I ask you now, Tommy, things have just changed. The tempo's fast. I see Coach Childs, he's running up and down the floor. He's not feeling 100%, but he's getting these guys motivated a little bit. What has happened here that the tempo has changed this much?
Well, I think as I mentioned earlier, it's so tough to score in a half court against Parkland. You want to take the chance when you can to push the ball. Right now we're back in the half court on this possession, but their guys have been getting out and running, and it has lent itself to a few more up-tempo possessions for both sides. And the coaches at this point, there's still 5, 6, 7 minutes left. You're going to be a little more liberal allowing that to happen. This gets under 2 minutes. You're going to see that stop real quick.
5:05 on the clock. Taking their time, flying through a seam, and drawing some contact. That's a foul, and a big one on as Assad Brown will go to the free throw line. So 3 on Rappa. Brown at 73%, so one of the better free throw shooters for the Red Rovers. Has his first point of the night. Easton regains the lead. And the second one is good. So Easton up by 2 with 5 to play. Well, you think something's got to be called one way or the other there, I would think. Nothing was. And everything but the basket. I have no idea how Aaron Clark didn't get those 2 to fall.
Wow, that thing spun around 3 times, and that one's going to hurt. If that one drops, you might get another timeout by Coach Stevens and a 2-possession lead. Here's a look at it. Going to his opposite hand, but he's up high off the glass 2/3 of the way down.
Look at this.
And then halfway down a second time. Usually you don't get 2 spins like that where it's almost down without it finishing through the net. Tough break for Clark. Parkland needs to get something going here, a good set.
4:30 on the clock. And a nice smooth basket there by Kaharchik. Give Parkland some offensive flow.
Yeah, good drive by Kaharchik, unimpeded. Ooh.
Tied at 33, and Parkland gets the ball back.
That one may have been jarred loose and off of Parkland, but we'll go the other way halfway through the fourth.
Looking for another three from the outside. A whistle away, right? From the play. That's 4 fouls on Rappa. So he had 2 fouls here in the last minute.
Yeah, that's a crucial thing. He I don't know that he sat this game. He's had a major impact in the paint. He's controlled the paint. Now he's got 4 as we get down to crunch time here.
Can you squeak him out here for a little bit?
I don't think so. You have to trust him as a senior who's been a 2-year starter and a 3-year varsity player to know not to commit a silly foul.
Now the rebound by Milady. Milady's been quiet in the second half, still looking for his first points of the night. In the second half, he has 3 3-pointers coming in the first half. We are tied at 33 as we approach the 3-minute mark. Talking about anyone's game, it's anyone's game. And that one knocked away. Easton has the basketball back. Well, Coach Childs wondering how that wasn't called. We saw it on this end.
Well, sometimes as an official, you know it's going to stay there with Easton. Would you prefer the foul if you're the staff? Sure, but you're going to get the ball out of bounds, so no harm, no foul. Literally no harm, no foul.
Driving through. Here's a chance for the Red Rovers to take the lead. They cannot do it. And they'll get it right back. Second effort on a 3. That one doesn't go. The rebound and 1. Count it. Deshaun Johnson, he's got 8 points. Easton's got the lead with 2:36 on the clock.
Well, and Al, as you asked a minute ago, can you squeak Rappa out for a minute? Coach Stevens did, and it resulted in 2 offensive rebounds for Easton and a 3-point play opportunity for Easton. And Deshaun Johnson has had a massive second half here after struggling to finish inside all first half long. He has come up with multiple offensive rebounds and putbacks.
And how about another offensive rebound and putback? That time, it was Ryan Boylan.
Wow. So after 3 quarters of controlling the defensive glass, it has become a major issue for Parkland down the stretch. And now Boylan's got a chance to put the Red Rovers up by 5.
Can't convert by the 4-point lead, 37-33 Easton with 2:25 on the clock. Again, one team season will come to an end. The other will move on. Clearing traffic and scoring is Rappa.
Well, Rappa got very fortunate right there as he let an elbow come up a little high, and Mr. DiGirolamo let that one slide. And now I think Deshaun Johnson's feeling the effects of that elbow by Rappa, and that would have also been his 5th foul. So a major non-call right there.
So 37-35 with 2:02 on the clock. And Tommy, there's plenty of time for this, but now, as they're attending to Deshaun, this is going to be an interesting end. Parkland went to overtime against Allen at the PPL Center, ended up losing that game. That was devastation right there. You lose this game, your season comes to an end abruptly.
Absolutely, just like that. Your minutes from playing for the league title a week and a half ago, and you can't finish it off, and now you might be finished in 2 minutes. So might be a little early for Easton to go into the cooler and freeze it, but we'll see what Coach Childs instructs his men to do.
Well, the bonus favors Easton right now. 8 fouls against Parkland, just 3 against the Red Rovers. Only up by 2. And Rapid's got to be careful here. And Rapid does the job. Wow.
Yeah, well done. Just putting himself in a position, as I talked about in the first half, of not trying to do too much.
So a timeout with $1:17 on the clock. All right, Tommy, take us in the huddle. Let's start with Parkland.
Well, if you're Coach Stevens, do you run something here for Jake Malady? He's been very quiet. Maybe you run one of your motion sets when you have multiple options. Maybe you can get Malady off a screen if he's not open. One of their other go-to sets in the first half was Rhodes on a drive. Do you look to post up Rappa, or do you just let Rappa crash the glass? They've also had some success with Trey Roll driving to the hole. I think you might run Malady off some screens right here. You also have Kaharchik, who's made some big shots. So, you have multiple options right there. It's all going to have to be. It's going to come down to the execution for how Parkland runs this set right here.
And Easton obviously put themselves in position, for this right now, and obviously an opportunity for them to, pull out the victory. I'm going to say steal a victory. Even though both teams had their opportunities tonight.
Well, Easton, we said that to ourselves at the halftime break. They looked lifeless in the first half. And, Coach Childs is not feeling well. Maybe some of his players just took the cue from Coach Childs, but they did not look great in the first half. And, it was amazing that they had themselves in a position to win the game. And that's why you need to put a team away early if you're Parkland. They did not do it.
37-35. Easton on top by 2. Winner has at least 3 more games and will advance to the semifinals. The loser will go home for the rest of the season. Down to a minute on the clock, driving through and drawing some contact is Kaharchik. He'll go to the free throw line with a chance to tie.
All right, so let's see what the senior's made of here down the stretch. His numbers will tell us that he's a 66% free throw shooter, but how many of those have come in the last minute of a game where you have a chance to tie it up?
He's got 8 on the night. Makes the first.
That one looks smooth.
And this one here with 58.2 seconds to tie. And is good. So we are tied at 37-37 with under a minute to play as Rappa takes a breather here on defense.
Risky move to take Rappa out with the effectiveness of Easton on the offensive glass here in the fourth quarter. Coach Childs, I wonder if, as we get to the timeout here, Al, you think he'll try and milk 50 seconds and hold for one shot? Very risky proposition.
Well, that's a good question, though. However, foul situation, now if you're Easton, you have 2 to give, and, that could play into a game as well, knowing that Parkland has a little break, you can kind of slow him down a little bit and not have him get that opportunity.
Absolutely. That will be something Coach Childs 100% tells his players right now. If we turn it over or we make or miss, we take a foul on the floor and stop the break so that we can reset our defense, maybe make a sub or whatever we want to do. Also, that does allow you to go a little bit earlier then, because in addition to trying going for offensive rebounds, you can stop the break and take a foul without fear of putting them on the foul line.
This is Ben Childs. He's under the weather. Does he play that, or the players know that? Saying this guy's giving everything he's got to coaches. We need to give a little extra more to win this game.
Well, absolutely. I would have loved to have been inside that locker room at halftime, to see how he kind of got his guys back rejuvenated, because they were not ready to go at the start of the game, and their third quarter was what really got them back into it with an incredible effort.
Final 45 seconds. 37-37, a very low-scoring affair between these two teams. Easton's going to play for 1. Well, Parkland's been in this position before at the PPL Center, advancing in overtime and then falling to Allen.
Well, very good job here so far of Easton. Looks like they're going to be able to get that last shot. Parkland didn't seem to put up too much resistance for it. He knows he can't foul if you're Coach Stevens. He's going to call another timeout here and set up a last-second play.
I always, and you've coached, a lot. Sometimes when you call those timeouts and you're flowing right now, you took 30 seconds off the clock, and now all of a sudden, the defense is getting ready to set up once again. Is it ever a concern that you let him just go?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that. There's a couple reasons. One, you may have difficulty getting the ball in right now. You had the ball in bounds, as you said. The time was running. Parkland was not putting pressure on you, and you could have easily run it down and gotten any set you wanted. Also, you've probably practiced these situations. We all do as coaches and teams. You practice time and score. You've practiced times when there's 30 seconds, you have the ball in a tie game, and this is exactly where we're at. And then with 12 seconds to go, we're going to call our number one player, number two player, whatever it is that you're going to call it. And that could have been done right there. But you know what? Coach Childs trusts his men, and he knows what he's doing, and his staff, they obviously did it for a reason. So let's see what comes out of the break here.
Well, we'll see. Glad you could join us here at D11Sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Al DiCarlo, Tommy Moser with you from Allen High School. Again, what is on the line? Well, a trip to the semifinals and 3 games, either to the finals or consolation, and plus a berth in the state playoffs. The loser, their season comes to an end. Freedom has already advanced. Other 6 to 8 games later tonight.
Well, here we go with Clark taking possession this far back. It's going to be one drive.
Yeah, one drive driving through. Taking the basketball, going inside. That one knocked away. And a timeout here with Parkland. I wonder if they're going to add some time to the clock. Called the timeout with about 1.6. Let's see if they add some. Again, it's kind of, the officials' discretion, and I'm sure they're going to try to see if they add something. And I don't think they are. No, Eddie Olson or one of the coach's staff just went out there just to check, and I think they're going to leave it at 1 second. What do you do here at 1 second?
They could have bargained for 2/10, but they weren't going to get much more than that. It's unfortunate. If you had another second, here's where you could throw the ball right to half court and catch it and call timeout. Then you could inbound at half court. But the NBA, they allow you to advance it to half court, which would be much more manageable. But here you're just going to have to hope for a catch and heave. That's really the only thing you can get out. Unless you have a quarterback, I don't think they have Devontae Cross on the roster anymore who could throw the ball the length of the floor. But if you get some, you might as well just try and throw it down to this end of the floor anyway, because even if it's intercepted by Easton, they're not going to have enough time, or they're going to be too far away from the basket to catch and make a play themselves. It happened
years ago when Andrew Armelino threw a pass to Matt Morton, and he went behind the basket and scored to lift Catasauqua to a dramatic victory that ended up being on SportsCenter. We'll see what happens here. Just going to air this one up. And that would have went in, I think, if it would have hit up top, by the way.
We can do a study on that.
All right, you do it. Let me know and get back. How about overtime? Once again for the Trojans, and overtime to see who's going to advance to the 6A semifinals. We'll take a quick break. You're watching our D11Sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Back after this.
Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive.
We are back. 37-37. Al DiCarlo, Tom Moser. Tommy, we're into OT. Your thoughts?
Well, it's playoff basketball. It's a 3-6 matchup. We said Parkland was a much better than a 6 seed, so we shouldn't expect anything less. Neither one of these teams wants to go home. You saw that at Easton. They could have packed their bags up at halftime and just kind of mailed it in after a poor first half. They came out energized in the second 16 minutes, really showed that they want to continue their season. Parkland did the same thing when they went down 4 with 2 minutes to go. Easton did not score over the last 2 minutes, and as a result, we're looking at an extra 4 to decide whose season continues and whose season ends.
Here we are with overtime. So Parkland starts possession. The guy that's been quiet right now for the Trojans has been Jake Milady. Do you want to get him hot from the outside? Rappat is playing with 4 fouls, wearing number 11. That shot off the mark. Ball loose, Easton grabbing it. And that goes to Assad Brown.
Yeah, it's a combination of a couple things. Parkland, they're not looking for Milady as much. Easton obviously defending him well, but
wow. So now, that was close to being a walk. And I think the Parkland, contingent saying he may have skipped through before he got tagged.
he did. Strobel had his back turned to the play and saw the contact prohibiting the drive.
So Boylan at 69% will go to the free throw line. He's got 10.
That's a 9th team foul, so moving forward, it's going to be double bonus for the Red Rovers and Parkland. Still not near the bonus. Easton with those 2 fouls to give.
So Easton up 39-37. .326 on the clock. There's a huge possession here for the Trojans. Defense tighter. Again, they have a foul to give. They have 2 fouls to give, depending on the shot. And driving through his Rappa. You mentioned Rappa before. He gets his 7th point. He's such an integral part of this team, has to be in the mix, and ties the game up.
An absolutely great job on the drive right there, squaring his shoulders inside for the finish.
Down to 2:55 on the clock. Through the lane on the kick out. And that one may have gotten deflected. Down to 2:38 and counting. We are tied at 39, and Parkland for the first time in a while has a chance to regain the lead. There's the guy we were talking about, and he nails it again. Milady, his 4th three. Parkland is up by 3.
I mean, that is so impressive for that young man. He has not had any looks. I don't even know if he's taken a shot lately. And for him to be dry for at least 30, 45 minutes of overall time, wow.
Answering the other side, Aaron Clark for 3.
I mean, Milady was impressive, and then Clark as a sophomore says, not so fast, my friend, but wow. Really impressed by Milady knocking that down after not having a look for a while.
Now, little by little, we're into the 40s all of a sudden. It's taken overtime, but now the excitement in the air on both sides. Malady's the type of guy who can hit from anywhere. And Coach, you know how that is. So they get the 3, calls a timeout, and then the stare down by Coach Stevens.
I guess that's one time when you wish that your voice didn't work, but.
So he looks over and look, you look over to the officials, and, there's a little smirk there as well, saying, you told me to call it. You needed a timeout. And he's going to give you the timeout. Hey, we're back at where we were at the end of regulation. We are tied again with 1:39 on the clock.
Yeah, I think Coach Stevens just wanted to reset things, get his guys squared, balanced out, and, look, here's what we're looking at. And does give Coach Childs a chance to set his defense, get his matchup set. We'll see what Coach Stevens comes up with here, who he wants to go to. Milady just knocked the shot in, so maybe he runs a set for him, but Kuharchik's been very aggressive as well.
11-7 Parkland after 1, 22-15 Parkland at the half, 26-25 Parkland after 3, and tied at 37 at the end of regulation. We're in overtime, 42-42. Parkland with the basketball.
Right there, what you saw is what you saw most of the first half. Easton knew what Parkland was going to run and didn't allow it to happen.
Yeah, that does not go for Dylan Rhodes. So Easton now with the opportunity to regain the lead with $1:20 on the clock. Down to 1:15. You're just waiting for Boylan to get his hands on the basketball, even though Aaron Clark's had a field day today.
Well, Kuharchik, his job, he knew coming out of the locker room today was, I'm guarding Boylan. Boylan's going to work for everything he gets, and he has. Kuharchik's been all over him like white on rice, and he's had help inside from Rappa, Rhodes, and Milady, as you saw right there.
Yeah, Boylan gets the shot that, well, he got through the defense, but didn't get the shot that he wanted right there. And now you're Parkland. Chance to take the lead. Here's Milady. No, and he gets knocked off the ball. Chance for Easton. Coach Childs telling them to move the ball down. Driving through. And a traveling call. Wow.
Wow is right. I think Coach Childs initially wanted his men to push the ball up the floor. Then he realized, let's hold for one. But then Clark just tried to make a play and shuffled his foot, and here we go again.
All right, so Tommy, they call a timeout here with 26 seconds on the clock. 2 fouls to give. We got to keep that for our viewers that they know. 2 fouls to give. At what point do you take those fouls so Parkland does not get that shot that they want?
Well, so Andy Stevens knows that Easton has 2 fouls to give. So if you wait until 7 seconds to go for your attempt, Easton's going to give a foul. You're going to do it again. You're not likely to get a shot off at the rim. So you have to go a little bit earlier than you would like because Easton's going to give those fouls. That may result in Easton getting a last-second shot, but it's just a chess game that you have to play, and it's unfortunately you're in that position. So Parkland's going to probably go with about 12 or 11. Easton's going to give a foul. We're going to reset and do it all over again. But you can't wait too long because you risk not getting a shot off at that point.
Well, good analysis there. We'll see what happens here with 26 ticks on the clock as Freedom has already advanced earlier today. They beat East Stroudsburg South by the score of 59-43. Later tonight, a double dip at Easton. The 6 o'clock game will feature number 7 Northampton, number 2 Liberty, and then the 7:30 game will feature the top seed Allen taking on Pocono Mountain West, the number 9 seed, who had the playing game against Whitehall and beat them 54-49. But right now, 42-42, you're watching overtime. Again, no matter where you're at, if you're sitting on your couch at home, if you're sitting on your couch in California, an opportunity to watch it here as well. And all those alums watching for both schools, we welcome you aboard here at D11sports.com. Game of the week presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. Down to 25 seconds on the clock.
So some full court pressure because if you give a foul, it's not a big deal, and that's what you're seeing.
They get the ball back down to 16 seconds. And that one gets knocked away with 13.7.
Now the Trojans are going to have to get moving and attacking the basket because of those fouls, as you see the Easton bench, Coach Gorski imploring his charges to take a foul on a drive.
Here we go, down to 11 seconds. Do they get a shot off that they want? Down to 9, make it 8 seconds. They're waiting pretty hard. They're trying to get a shot here, and there's a foul.
They tried a couple times before it was whistled to get it, and they were not awarded the foul. So let's see what happens here. Now you're in a tough spot as Coach Stevens is going to call another timeout. You're in a tough spot here, Al. If you're Easton, you do have one foul to give, but do you risk giving it in case Parkland gets a jump shot off and you foul the shooter? That's worst case scenario.
Now, first things first, you got to get the ball in. And if you do, obviously, Easton, you're protecting down underneath and you're trying to keep it outside, and then you can foul them there. If they get it underneath, I agree with you 100%. Underneath, you may have to shy off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what maybe Coach Stevens looks to do here, just throw it directly inside. If you do throw it out on the perimeter, you're likely to get a grab and a hold on the floor after a second or two run off the clock, and then you're in a tough spot if you're Parkland. So maybe Andy looks to dump it inside here initially where you can't take that foul on the floor. It's risky, let's just say, at the very least.
Now we reset the table, 4.1 seconds, 42-42, overtime. Parkland and Easton. Here we go. And they get a foul against Rappa away from the ball before the inbound, and I believe we're right, Rappa is just fouled out of the game.
Rappa has fouled out. Now the important discussion is it a shooting foul or not? I don't believe it will be a shooting foul. If it is a shooting foul, that is absolute catastrophe. I don't believe it's a shooting foul, but nonetheless, it's Rappa's 5th, and if we go to double OT, it significantly hampers the Trojans as that young man played his tail off, and we are not going to shoot.
So now Easton has a chance here, final 4 seconds. And they do get it in. And here's a chance down to 2 seconds. They try to call a timeout, may have traveled, but they call the timeout first. Andy Stevens not happy, but Ben Childs calls the timeout right before. And I'm actually surprised they called the timeout, being that you maybe had a better chance of taking the shot than setting up a play here at the end.
Well, if it was in the hands of Clark or Boylan, I think Coach Childs would have just let it play out. It it was in the hands of Johnson, who's worked his butt off inside tonight, but is not much of a shooter from the outside. As we get a look at the replay, here's Johnson. Well, he actually did not walk there because the foot that he stepped with was his pivot foot, so he did a good job of holding it right there. 8/10 does not leave you a lot of time. Let's get a look at it one more time. If you watch, he stops, and his left foot really did not move right there, I don't think, Al. So, probably a good call right there by Jared DiGirolamo, although the Parkland staff are questioning him on it. They might look back and agree that it was the right call.
All right, well, anyway, that said, 0.8 seconds. You're going to try to float one and just, right by the rim, if anything.
Well, you got two options. You can throw a catch and shoot, or you can throw it right to the rim. So we might get an alley-oop.
42-42. 0.8 seconds left, and a timeout for Easton after they look at the defense.
Well, the teams are certainly using their allotment of timeouts, and they will be given one more when this thing goes to a second overtime. So,
well, in the second quarter, when you said the game was kind of boring, you didn't use those words, but we were both thinking of it. It was just no one was in that flow. Then you start to get to the fourth quarter, third a little bit in the fourth quarter, starting to pick up a little bit, and now all of a sudden we're on the verge of possibly double overtime.
Well, the sense of urgency took a little while to kick in, especially for Easton, but once it did, these young men on both sides wearing red and white have really gotten after it, and you're seeing it displayed here in the fourth quarter and overtime, and possibly, quite likely, a second overtime.
Glad you could join us here on D11Sports.com, our game of the week. We'll be back at it on Tuesday. Again, it's going to be a little devastation for one team and a little jubilation for the other, depending on what happens here in the end of this game. So 0.8 of a second, tied at 42. Easton to inbound. They're going to float it up, and there's a shot. It counts if it goes. It does not. They had what they wanted, but they don't get it to go. It's Nashawn Johnson. We go to double OT, and we'll come back right after this. You're watching our D11Sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Wow. .42, and it's double overtime time here at, is that right? Double overtime time. I guess if I say it that way, it's even better. Double overtime here at Allen High School with their winner advancing, the loser their season coming to an end. I tell you what, an opportunity there for Nashawn Johnson to put that in.
That's as good a look as you're going to get with 0.8 left on a side out of bounds call, and he had the right trajectory, just did not throw enough oomph on it, and but you can't expect to score there. So let's see who can execute. Slight advantage right now to the Red Rovers because of the absence of Nick Rappa.
So Parkland had a chance to win it, but Rappa got called. And now Easton has a chance to take the lead, and they do. Another basket by Aaron Clark.
Nice drive right there by Clark. No help defense. Clark was allowed to go to his left, which is his preferred side.
That one too hard off the glass.
One other thing that I'm going to point out right now, Al, I remember our foul situation at the end of overtime there. Easton took that fifth foul on the floor, correct? Remember that?
Yep.
And then we had the foul on the floor on Rappa. So Easton's still sitting at 5 fouls and having one to give in the double overtime. Very rare and could come in handy. And there it is.
So 3:12 on the clock. Behind the back and a chance, that one thrown away.
Just trying to be too fancy right there was Trey Roll. He saw the cutter, just threw a little too much mustard on it. You prefer Dijon, honey mustard?
No mustard at all. 44-42.
Huge possession here, as they all are, but if you can go up by 2 possessions in overtime, mentally it affects your opponent and you're in a real good spot.
Easton did a great job of this at the end of the fourth and even in overtime, to milk about a minute off the clock.
They did. And part of that is Parkland not applying a ton of pressure, almost letting them free, not extending as much, maybe not feeling the urgency quite yet.
Only down by 2. But that said, basket here could be big. Go ahead.
Sorry, Al. Easton is in no hurry, as Coach Childs has told his men in the overtime break. We are not shooting anything but layups because they've had a few open looks here and have not pulled the trigger.
Well, interesting you say that, but Ryan Boylan looked like he had an open look, and they pulled it back out again.
Well, and that's, that's what Coach wants. I mean, Boylan's your 1,000-point scorer. He's a 4-year varsity guy, and he had a lane and an open look, and he didn't take it. So we're doing nothing right now but open layups, and we're going to force them to foul us because we're going to take care of the ball, and we're going to win or lose the game on the foul line. And there we go.
So they'll get the trip to the free throw line.
I'm not sure if that was called for by Coach Stevens or if it was just a little bit of frustration by Rhodes, but nonetheless, maybe called for because Nashawn Johnson only shoots 41% from the line. So let's see if that is a tactical maneuver by Stevens. Yes, sir.
So misses the first. Nashawn Johnson has 8.
So that's something that Coach Childs is going to have to think about moving forward here if they get the ball again with the lead, is to get Johnson off the floor because you can't have him out there and missing free throws. Look at that scrum.
Yeah, Parkland comes out of it. They got numbers coming the other way. Malay's on the wing if they wanted to give it to him. They thought they got a foul. They didn't. And now $130. Coach Gorski jumped off the bench saying, you got to get it over the line here.
They were fearing a rare 10-second call, and Gorski did the Phil Mickelson leap in the air after he won the Masters.
Down to 112, 44-42, Easton leads in double overtime.
And if Johnson touches it here, he is going to get fouled. Roll gives it first on Brown, who shoots 73%.
So if you're just joining us here, Ben Childs is under the weather, not feeling well. Is this making him feel better or worse?
I'll tell you in about 2 minutes. I'll tell you what, if they come out on the winning end of this, he's going to feel like he wasn't sick at all.
Well, right now, Easton struggling at the free throw line with a chance. Could have added a couple extra points to their lead, and they have missed. And they make one there. (45-42). There's plenty of time to go for a 2 and/or a 3.
No room whatsoever for Milady.
And Parkland may have to foul. They will.
Yeah, the Trojans are in a little bit of trouble right now as they've had trouble themselves getting to the basket and finishing here in these overtime periods. However, Aaron Clark, for as talented as he is, the sophomore, is only a 50% free throw shooter. So
we're still looking at one possession, and there's plenty of time. Misses the free throw. They've missed, 3 out of their last 4?
4 out of 5.
Yep.
If Clark's 50%, that would tell me he will make this one. Do you believe? Are you buying or selling?
I'm buying.
Circle gets the square. So let's see if Parkland chooses to attack the rim here. You don't need to fall into the trap of settling for threes because you're down by 4. Just go for the deuce. You can call timeout, set up your pressure. Easton struggled at the line. You don't need a 3.
Shot by Milady, no. And it is Easton's basketball with 32 seconds remaining.
They're going to get Perkins over to back right there. Johnson's go to the line for 2. He has struggled. If he can make 1, I think Coach Childs would take that right now.
Yeah, we walk the floor here. These are huge free throws. Johnson with 8 points. Another free throw missed.
And I told you he would take 1 if you offered that to Coach Childs. I think it's like deal or no deal to Carlo.
And misses the second one. But they get the rebound. It's Boylan. 30 seconds left, and Parkland has no choice but to foul. So Easton in double OT has a 4-point lead and can add to that.
Yeah, Parkland has not executed here on either end. Easton's opened the door with some missed free throws, but the Trojans have not corralled enough rebounds, have not gotten any open looks, and are on the short end of a 5-point score right now.
First one good. Here comes the second, and that one no good. Parkland still has some life, down 47-42. You can get a quick one. Said they'll eye up the 3. That one's short. Easton has a chance here, and they're going to walk the floor one more time.
The inability of Parkland to get a field goal here in this second overtime is going to ultimately, it looks like, lead to their demise. If Johnson can knock a couple free throws in here, that would do it, or one more stop at the other end would do it. But let's not call it yet. Johnson struggled here.
Hey, you make both. It's a difference. Well, right now, I'll tell you what. Coach for Childs right now, even though a 5-point lead, they have struggled big time from the free throw line.
Well, I think Johnson himself here in this overtime is 0 for 5. Make it 6. And now Parkland with a basket here still has life.
I think you're just gliding on in and getting those 2. Well, they're not listening to me, and they'll try to go for 3, and that one's short. And that's going to wind it down. 47-42, Easton in double overtime. They advance to the semifinals to the state tournament and end Parkland's season in double OT. What a finish. We'll come back, wrap it up, and talk to Coach after this. You're watching on D11Sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine.
St. Luke's Orthopedic Care. Extraordinary care in motion.
We are back, and the final score 47-42 in double overtime. And no question, when you look at it, the way this game was played and the opportunity that it was played, Easton played hard, played strong, played well when they needed to, and they pull out the victory and they get the win. And with it, they're advancing, into the semifinals with a huge, huge win. They'll either take on Northampton or Liberty with the victory in this one. Your thoughts?
Well, the bottom line is Easton played harder and smarter in the second half. Both teams obviously want to win. Easton really showed that urgency coming out of the locker room. Their effort in the third quarter was phenomenal, got them back into the game. Same thing in overtime.
And with that, let's go to Peter Capote. He's on the line with our player of the game.
Aaron Clark. Aaron, this was a tough-fought game. Thoughts on moving on?
Just keep intensity, just play as a team, and we won it today. So I told them in the huddle it was going to be a dogfight, and we just wanted it more.
There were times in this game when it looked like Easton was, beginning to fall back. What kept you as a team, in the fight against this talented Parkland team?
Coach told us to stay together, stay together. As long as we were staying together and playing as a team, we was going to win it out. And that's what we did tonight, and that's how we got the dub.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Our D11Sports.com player of the game. 4 points for Johnson, 12 points for Boylan, 4 points for Saad Brown, 24 for Aaron Clark, 4 points for Roll, 10 points for Kaharchik, 7 points for Rappa, 9 points for Rhodes, and Milady finishes with 12 points. To finish this up. But, Easton wins it in double overtime, ends Parkland's season, and they're moving on. What can Easton do in this tournament?
Well, Easton, as I said, they started out the year as hot as any team. They beat Allen, who was the 1 seed. They beat Liberty, who was the 2 seed. They're likely to face Liberty, although Northampton's got something to say about that in the next round. But they have to feel as they have as good a chance of anybody to win right now. There's going to be 4 teams left after tonight. They're going to play a team in the next round who they've already beaten. And so coming back, knowing they played a poor first half in this game today and still came out with the win is going to give them a boost of confidence as well.
No doubt about it. Game number 1 goes to Freedom 59-43, and game number 2 goes to Easton by the score of 47-42 as they get the victory in this one. I tell you what, you got to say a lot for Ben Childs and what his team persevered and what they did there down the stretch. And for him, probably not feeling well in the locker room, but feeling a little bit better in the locker room with the victory.
Yeah, we talked about it through most of the game that his guys could have folded up shop a little bit when things were not going their way in the first half. They played a pretty poor first half, to be honest. I'm sure he was not feeling well, but they took the cue from their leader. He sucked it up. He came out ready to go, and certainly they did too, and they deserved and earned this win here this afternoon.
Well, your final here, 47-42. We're going to leave Coach down into the locker room, I believe, because he's still probably celebrating and feeling the effects. So we won't get to the coach, but we did get our player of the game in Aaron Clark. And again, Tommy asked this before, but final thoughts really of today and what we could see moving forward. Obviously, 2 games being played tonight, but this 6A tournament is pretty impressive.
Well, it's a wide open field. Freedom and Easton have as good a shot as anybody. I'm sure they'll be watching. District 11 did a great job of staggering these 2 doubleheaders so you can go watch both games in 2 different locations throughout the day so you can see the opponents that you're going to play in the next round next week. But both teams, they're going to recharge here tomorrow. They're going to come to practice Monday and Tuesday, and they know they're going to be playing basketball together for a couple more weeks.
That'll do it for tonight. I want to thank Ari Bluestein, Josh Bellman, SFBN, the Sports Fan Base Network, also our sideline guys, and Elijah Rivera from Notre Dame, and Peter Capote from Allen, Dave Micah, Tommy Moser, Aldi Carl saying so long. Parkland loses this one. Easton advancing to the semifinals, 47-42. That'll do it from J. Milosaurus Gymnasium. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you back on Tuesday.